purpose of this video is to demonstrate how to compare rates, and in this case we're going to try to figure out which is the better rate. Now the problem says a 6-ounce steak costs $5.58 and a 10-ounce steak costs $8.90. Which steak is the better buy? Explain your thinking. Now, this problem is like one of the homework problems my students are going to have today, and I just wanted to show two examples of how they could solve this problem, two ways they could solve it. And one of those ways is simply to find the unit rate. By finding the unit rate, you could then compare how much each steak costs per ounce to find out which is the better buy. And then we could also work out a least common multiple method. The first way I'm going to show is finding the unit rate. Now, what I would do in this case is I would go ahead and make these rates as ratios. And whenever I use ratios that have money in them, like in this case $5.58, $8.90, I always put the money amount on top. So here I'm going to put down $5.58, and then that's going to be for the 6-ounce steak. Now, whenever you have a rate, you are doing some looking at relationships between two things that have different units of measure. In this case, our unit of measure is money, and in this case, our unit of measure is ounces. Now, we want to figure out, is this going to be a better rate than the 10-ounce steak, which costs $8.90, and that's for 10 ounces. Now, to find the unit rate, all you have to do is divide the numerator by the denominator, and it'll tell us how much each ounce is. Now, whenever I see a fraction, I always think order of the operation is division, and that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to use my calculator just to speed things along. So $5.58, you could also read that as 5 58/100 divided by 6 equals 93 hundredths, or in this case, that's going to be 93 cents an ounce. So I'm going to record that as 0, and this will be like a leading 0 in a decimal situation, 93 cents, and that's going to be over ounce. Now, it's understood that this is for 1 ounce, per 1 ounce, but I see some people who like to put the 1 there. It kind of helps them visualize and know that that's 1, so I'll put it there, but that's not really necessary. Now let's see how much is the 10-ounce steak per ounce. So in this case, I'm just going to do a little bit of mental math, and if I divide 8 and 90 hundredths by 10, I can just move my decimal place 1 place to the right, and that's going to make it 89 cents or so. I'm going to go ahead and put that as 0 and 89 cents per ounce, per 1 ounce. So in this case, it looks like the better buy would be the 10-ounce steak at $8.89. And to explain my thinking, well, I found the unit rates, I found out how much money each ounce cost, and by doing that, I was able to see that the 10-ounce steak had a cheaper unit rate. Now, if I want to find at least common multiple way of solving that, I'm going to use the exact same ratios. And this time, I'm going to go ahead and let me erase this part here, because I want to use my same ratios there. Now, when I have 6 ounces and 10 ounces, the least common multiple is going to be 3. So if I times 6 by, and I'm going to make equal here because these are equivalent rates, that if I multiply 6 by 5, that will give me 30 ounces. And if I multiply my denominator by 5, I must multiply my numerator by 5. So I'll say $5.58 times 5 equals $27.90. Now my calculator actually showed 27 and 9/10. But since we're talking about money, I'm going to put my trailing zero here and make that 90 cents. Now for this one, I'm going to multiply 10 by 3, and that's going to give me 30 ounces. And I have to multiply $8.90 by 3, and that gave me $26.70. Well, actually gave me 26 7/10. Now, when I look at equivalent rates here, and they've both got the same denominator, 30 ounces, for a 30-ounce steak here, which would be for this one, it would be $27.90, which is more expensive than the equivalent rate for the 10-ounce steak, which would be $26.70 if you bought one that was 30 ounces. Now, if I were to explain my thinking, I would say, well, I found the least common multiple of 6 ounces and 10 ounces, and then I just multiplied my denominators by the appropriate number of times that the denominators would go into the least common multiple, and then I multiplied my numerators by that same factor, and that's what gave me the equivalent rates. And the equivalent rates showed that the 10-ounce steak had a cheaper equivalent rate. And I hope that this has helped show 2 ways that you can solve rate problems when you want to compare rates. You can either use the unit rate, dividing the numerator by the denominator, or you can find least common multiples. Thank you for watching.